Level 1. The Chosen. Age 18. This is not a secret society documentary. This is a secret society POV, and you are the one living it. Welcome to the dark history of the most feared Yale secret society ever to exist. A brotherhood where secret society ranks are not earned, they are branded into you. Where Skull and Bones initiation does not begin with a choice, it begins with desperation. You are 18 years old, broke, invisible, and somewhere inside the most powerful of all elite secret societies, a decision has already been made about your life. They chose me. That's what you'll think when the envelope slides under your door. That's exactly what Skull and Bones needs you to believe. Because a desperate man asks no questions. A desperate man walks into the tomb at midnight and signs away everything before he understands what power corruption truly costs. This is the dark history they buried. This is the secret society that built presidents, bankers, and killers from the same Yale courtyard. This is every rank, from the trembling initiate to the sovereign who controls nations, lived through your eyes. You're every rank in the Skull and Bones Society, and by the end, you'll wish you'd never opened that envelope. Your father's medical bills sit in a stack on the kitchen counter. You've stopped opening them. The numbers stopped meaning anything 3 months ago. They're just proof that the world doesn't care whether your family survives. You got into Yale on a scholarship that barely covers tuition. You work the late shift at the dining hall, scrubbing pans that belong to boys whose last names are on the buildings. You don't resent them. Not yet. You just feel the distance, that invisible, immeasurable gap between where they stand and where you are. Then, one Tuesday night after your shift, you find a small envelope tucked under your dorm room door. No return address, no name on the front, just yours, written in ink so dark it looks like it was carved. Inside, a single card, bone white, embossed with a skull above 2 crossed bones. Skull and Bones, Thursday, midnight. The tomb. You should throw it away. You know that. Every rational part of your brain tells you to throw it away. But your father's bills are still on the counter back home, and the scholarship renewal committee informed you this morning that your grades need to improve, or funding stops. Thursday comes. You go. Level 2. The Initiate. Age 18. Night of Tap. The building has no windows. That's the first thing you notice about the tomb. The windowless brownstone on High Street that you've walked past 100 times without ever really looking at. Now, you're standing in front of it at midnight, and the door opens before you knock. They blindfold you inside. The air shifts immediately. Cold stone. The thick, sweet rot of old incense, and something underneath it that you can't name. Something animal. The floorboards creak beneath your feet as they lead you deeper. You hear voices, low, rhythmic, synchronized. Chanting. Not words you recognize, not any language you've studied. They call it connubium, the bonding. The ceremony is older than anyone in that room, passed down through generations of senators, presidents, bankers, and generals. And now, inexplicably, you. They make you lie in a coffin, literal wood, literal darkness. You're inside a coffin, and they close the lid, and you are alone with the sound of your own heartbeat and the muffled chanting above you. They tell you this represents death, the death of your old self, the poor, struggling, invisible version of you. When the lid opens, they tell you that you've been reborn. You're given a bones name, a number, a secret, and a warning delivered quietly by a man whose father was in this room 30 years ago. What happens here stays here, not as a preference, as a law. You nod. Your hands are still shaking. But the scholarship? Renewed the next morning, fully funded. No explanation. You don't ask for one. Level 3. The Acolyte. Age 19 to 20. The first year inside Skull and Bones is a transaction. You give them vulnerability, your deepest secrets, your worst memories, your most shameful moments, extracted through tell-all sessions where you confess everything while the others listen in silence. Humiliating, thorough, surgical. What they give you in return is access. The right internship materializes. The right professor suddenly finds your work impressive. The right door, the kind that doesn't have a public handle, quietly swings open. You're learning the grammar of power. Not the loud, obvious grammar of ambition, the invisible kind. The kind written in who you know, who owes whom, and who controls what. You watch your grades climb, not entirely because of your effort. You stop thinking too hard about why. The paranoia begins quietly, in the corner of rooms, in the pauses before certain people speak to you. You start to notice when you're being watched, and then you start to wonder if you're imagining it. And then you realize you're not imagining it. They test you. Loyalty tests, small ones. A request to pass along information about a fellow student. You do it without asking why. The information is about nothing, but you passed. You demonstrated reflex. That's what they needed to see. You haven't told anyone you're a member. Not your roommate. Not the girl you've been seeing. Not your mother, who asks on the phone why you sound different lately. You don't have an answer for her. Level 4. The Operator. Age 22 to 28. You graduate. You don't walk into a job. You walk into a position. There's a difference, and you understand it now in your bones. A job is something you apply for. A position is something that's been held open, waiting, because the right phone call was made by the right man 6 months before your diploma was printed. You're in finance, or law, or politics. The specific field doesn't matter because you quickly realize they're all the same room with different furniture. The same network, the same handshake, the same unspoken agreement. We take care of our own. Your father's debt? Erased. Not paid, erased. You don't know how. You don't ask. You get married. You buy a house in the right neighborhood. You wear the right suits. You say the right things at the right dinners. And at certain gatherings, in certain rooms, among men whose names you now recognize from newspapers and textbooks, you feel it for the first time. Power. Not ambition's ghost, the real thing. But somewhere around year 5, you stop sleeping well. You wake at 3 a.m. and stare at your ceiling and try to remember the last authentic conversation you had. The last moment where you weren't calculating. The last decision you made purely because you wanted to. You can't find it. The memory keeps slipping away like soap in water. The harder you grip it, the faster it disappears. You love your wife, you think. You love your children. You're certain of that. But you cannot tell them the truth about what you are, what you've done. or who you serve. And love that cannot speak its full name starts to hollow out. Level 5. The Enforcer. Age 30 to 38. You understand the mechanism now. Skull and Bones is not a club. It's a system. A machine with interconnected gears, and some of those gears are people who don't know they're gears. Your job, unwritten, unspoken, never formally assigned, is to make sure the machine keeps moving. Someone's talking too much? You manage it. A journalist getting close? You make calls. A politician drifting from the agreed position? There are ways, elegant, invisible, utterly deniable ways, to correct course. You tell yourself you've never directly hurt anyone. You're technically correct. And that technicality is the only thing standing between who you are and who you would have been horrified to become at 18. You've learned to live inside that gap. Most days, it's wide enough. Some nights, it's not. Level 6. The Architect. Age 40 to 50. You don't attend every meeting anymore. You don't need to. You're the meeting. You're the reason the meeting matters. Senators call you before they announce positions. Boardrooms clear before you enter. You sit on committees that have no public record, making decisions that reshape policy. Healthcare, defense, financial regulation. And your name appears nowhere in the transcript. You have more money than you can spend in 3 lifetimes. It stopped meaning anything around the 3rd billion. Now money is just score. Evidence. A numerical confirmation that the machine values you. But the paranoia has matured. It's no longer anxious. It's architectural. You've built your life around it. Every phone call encrypted. Every relationship evaluated for loyalty risk. Your oldest friend, the one man who knew you before the tomb, died in a car accident 4 years ago. You attended the funeral. You did not cry. You were too busy calculating whether it was an accident. You don't know if that makes you smart or monstrous. Perhaps both. Perhaps there's no longer a difference. Level 7. The Sovereign. Age 55 to 65. They come to you now for permission. You don't sit at the head of a table. Tables are for men who need witnesses. You make decisions in silence, communicated through intermediaries, executed by people who've never met you and never will. You are untouchable. This is what you wanted. This is what the 18-year-old with the shaking hands and the unpaid bills was reaching for. To be so powerful that the world couldn't hurt you anymore. And you are. Genuinely. Legally invincible. And you are the loneliest person alive. Your children don't know you. Your wife is an arrangement. Affectionate, comfortable, fundamentally dishonest on both sides. The men who call you are not friends. They're counterparts, alliances, living contracts. You haven't felt genuinely safe since the night before your first tell-all, sitting on your dorm room floor, terrified of what the morning would bring. Terrified, but yourself. Fully, completely, painfully yourself. You would trade everything for 1 hour of that feeling. You cannot. The math doesn't work. You've given too much away. Level 8. The Reckoning. Age 70. Final entry. You are sitting in a room that costs more per night than your family earned in a year when you were young. There's a knock at the door you weren't expecting. You've been expecting it for 30 years, just not tonight. Not in this city, not at this hour. The fact that it surprises you tells you everything. You got slow, comfortable. You forgot the first lesson the tomb ever taught you. No one retires. There is no door marked exit. There never was. You built the institution. You should know better than anyone that institutions protect themselves. Maybe it's nothing. A staffer, room service, a coincidence. You stand. Your knees ache. Your heart, for the first time in decades, is performing that same frantic rhythm it did the night you lay in a wooden box at 18 and felt the lid close over you. Death of the old self, they said. Rebirth, they promised. But here, in the silence between the second knock and your hand reaching for the door, you understand the truth they never said aloud. The coffin was never a metaphor. It was a preview. You open the door